Good morning and welcome to Beyond the Lines podcast. I'm your host, Nikki Watson, on this wonderful Wednesday. It is a little gloomy outside. We're super close here, so get comfortable. Welcome. I'm in our high-tech sound studio here, as you can tell. So thank you for joining us. We are streaming on YouTube, Rumble, and X, I believe. So if you're watching this on the replay, thank you for joining us. Please like and subscribe. We are going to be doing a little bit of Hag Watch today. I figured I was going to just watch it on my own, and I figured, why would I do that? Why would I do that? We're going to watch it together. Yeah. So we're going to get into that. I hope everybody's doing well. And let's get right into it. So this is, there's just a lot going on, right? A lot of what we've been looking at is the Iranian conflict right now. A lot has been going on. We were so excited to have our very own Joaquin Flores on our show last week. So please be sure to check that out on YouTube and Rumble. And just so much information, and just so thankful to have it all laid out like that. It gives us something to chew on, because a lot of us want a lot of answers right now. I have certainly come a long ways to where I do not need to know right now. And I think that's a really great life lesson as well. It has to do with making decisions and parenting and showing up in the world. Is that, do we need to know right now? And do we need to make a decision? And no, we don't. Nope, we're not in the war room. Our hand is not on the button, right? We are not conversing with Claude AI about these matters significantly. I don't think so. So no, we do not need to know right now. We can just, again, be passengers, but also observers. And certainly, I would recommend to anyone who is super interested in these items to create a Substack account or create a channel and start producing content and start talking about the things that are important to you. And, being able to share credible voices is always a step in the right direction. So let's jump into it. Speaking of content creators, so something that we like to do here is we like to look at what Heather Cox Richardson is saying. Yeah, it's fun. I know it's been quite a journey. So we are going to look to see what she is putting out on her YouTube channel. She also is on Facebook. And so she's interviewing we're going to screen share this. This is hilarious. I think you guys can see it there. So she's interviewing a Florida congressman. Hold on. I think that what we should actually do is here. I think what we should do is we should
build anything just by thinking
go
about
to the WAPO article.
Base 44, a complete AI creation platform made for anyone with an idea.
The Epstein files, right? It was.
Oh my God.
I'm thrilled.
Oh my God. I can't, guys. Okay. I can't. Okay. So let's go to, let me see if I can get the link for WAPO. We'll bring that up real quick. I actually think that it's not behind a paywall. Okay, let's copy it. We'll send it over to ourselves. And then we'll open it, and then we'll go from there. Yeah, we're supposed to get some rain today. A little bit of rain, hopefully not a storm. Hopefully not stormy. Let's see if this opens up, and then we'll screen share this. Please don't be behind a paywall. Ugh. Okay, that's okay. We're gonna go for it. A little clickety clack. This is the clickety clack show. What is it? Archive. What is it? Okay. Almost there. Almost there. Okay. Ready? Ready, Freddie? Okay, I'm actually going to remove that, and we're going to share a different article. We're going to share the article on the Epstein files. Okay. Can you guys see that? Okay. We're just going to skim this real quick, okay? Pro-Iran propaganda network gains traction with posts about Epstein. So this was a Washington Post article that was published yesterday. Online accounts pushing Tehran's talking points find viral success with Epstein conspiracy content, written by Will Aramis. I'm not going to click on that because it's going to take us somewhere else. I'm not familiar with him. A grainy video, a grainy video appears to show a line of blindfolded young girls parading past an underwear-clad Donald Trump. A girl's anguished voice cries out in German. The video cuts to scenes of Trump and other famous figures talking with the late child sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. This video is not fake, said a post on X from an account called HDX News that was viewed more than 6.8 million times. These pedophile perverts started a war so that this wouldn't be talked about. Okay. This video is indeed fake, disinformation researchers say, and the account is part of a pro-Iran propaganda network that has found viral success by tapping into the conspiracy theory that Trump attacked Iran to distract the public from the Epstein files. Okay, so I want you to remember that piece. This is what Washington Post is writing. This is what this guy's writing, is that he's mixing this video that allegedly shows, which I didn't see this video. I don't even know. So you have a whole cohort of people who are doing like this, get Trump because he's in the Epstein files. And then this, I don't know what this video is. Okay. So it got 6.8 million views. Anyway, so what they're writing is that this account is part of a pro-Iran propaganda network that has found viral success by tapping into the conspiracy theory that Trump attacked Iran to distract the public from the Epstein files. Okay, so you see what he's saying here? He's saying that if you are saying on your public social media account, this viral conspiracy theory, they're calling it a conspiracy theory that Trump attacked Iran to distract the public from the Epstein files. Okay. So there's a number of people that are saying that out there, right? I don't think that, I just based on my opinion and where I think, just again, following like XF's channel and sort of the reality of the situation, that I can see how people might speculate about that, right? But I think it's a little interesting that they're calling it overtly a conspiracy theory, and that dependent, and all the different people who are jumping on, because we have to remember the history of the Epstein files, right? It was something that Democrats jumped on and made it part of their marketing campaign to release the Epstein files. Okay. And this was before because there really aren't Epstein files, right? There's lists, right, of there's court cases, there's victims, there's flight logs, right? But there's not like this secret file. I mean, there's classified information, and some of that was disseminated, obviously, like emails and stuff, but no further investigate. If all of that has already been looked at by the DOJ, right? There's not going to be any new investigations prompted. There might be some resignations. There might be some other things, but nothing new will come from the release of the files other than public awareness of elite pedophilia, the people that are involved, all within this network. And again, that it is used as compromat, right? So that's really the whole thing of it. And then being able to keep using it as such. So it's super multifaceted, but also interesting that we're just bringing to, we're looking at the Washington Post actually writing that it's just this sentence is just, again, this account is part of a pro-Iran propaganda network that has found viral success by tapping into the conspiracy theory that Trump attacked Iran to distract the public from the Epstein files, right? So that's a pretty interesting way to frame the different pieces. And okay, so let's go on. To erode public support. Okay, to erode. So this is, sorry my excitement, because this is just hilarious. Okay, to erode public support for the joint U.S.-Israel military operation. Okay, so the point of this is to erode public support, right? Because everybody's in support of it. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, okay, we don't need further erosion of support for this, right? MAGA hired Trump to disentangle the United States from foreign conflict, right? So MAGA is anti-war. Trump was hired as an anti-war leader, right? Okay, that doesn't change based on narratives about the Epstein files. Okay. So to erode public support for the joint U.S.-Israel military operation, which is also like, that's not entirely the establishment narrative, right? That's not entirely what Marco Rubio is saying. It's not what Witkoff is saying. It's not what Trump has been saying. To erode public support for the joint U.S.-Israel military operation, Iranian state media has sought to portray these countries' leaders. Ugh, I can't, guys. Has sought to portray these countries' leaders. So now they're doing they're sweeping everything into one. So now they're sweeping U.S. leaders with Israel leaders. Sought to portray these countries' leaders. This is like doing like the Ted Cruz thing, like, oh, the underdogs in the race, right? As part of a corrupt and depraved Epstein class or Epstein regime. Okay. So we have people on the internet, right? We have quote unquote MAGA influencers. We have Candace Owens. We have people that are out there, right? Big platforms. But then you also have the Democrats, right? Who are, and we just went over in one of our past episodes, Richardson and Freeman trying to wrestle with this verbiage of the Epstein class, right? So this is something that Democrats are doing for political purposes. It's part of their continued anti-Trump campaign. And so they're going to keep rolling with it, but they don't know what they're doing, and they don't know what they're saying, because it's very conflicting, because they are the Epstein, right? They are the Epstein class, right? They are the, Richardson is covering up for the Democrat elites who are part of the Uniparty and part of the compromat and part of this whole devious, corrupt system where you can buy a senator for $10,000. Okay. While such content often fails to gain much traction outside of Iran, I wouldn't say that's true, because I think it's actually gained a certain amount of traction, right? This is what people are saying. This is what people on the internet are saying about, like, they are willing to, they don't stand with Trump because they are calling him out. I mean, MAGA influencers or people that maybe their accounts, and that's a whole other thing about, like, accounts turning on Trump. We've talked about this before, but specifically, people are on both sides of the aisle focusing on the Epstein piece and its relation to Trump, and like that Trump should be doing more, Pam Bondi should be doing more, but some people are also being able to separate Trump and Pam Bondi, right? So there's a lot of things to consider. Now, if you want to have black and white thinking about it, and you want to just get your views, and you want to do the whole, like, it's the whole thing, right? That there's not disagreements within the power structures of even the Trump administration, right? Trump and Pam Bondi are not the same thing. A lot of people can say that they still support Trump in different ways and not agree with Pam Bondi. Right? So, and that's the whole thing. That's the whole way that this sort of works, is because people are their own sovereign spheres of influence. And, everybody plays a role. So what it says, we're going back to the article. While such content often fails to gain much traction outside of Iran, is it gaining traction inside Iran? My question is, it says the message is spreading through generically named news accounts that researchers say appear to be using the Epstein conspiracy theories to serve pro-Iran talking points to a global audience. I would actually say that if you're making the claim that Trump is using a conflict in Iran, all the things that we know about it and don't know about it, to distract from the Epstein files that he approved. Remember when he signed the executive order in November? That is Democrat media propaganda too, right? Because it's all about getting Trump. And this has been a long running pattern. They don't give a shit about elite pedophilia. They don't give a fuck. Excuse me my French, but they don't. They're only doing it. Hello. So to say that it's pro-Iran talking points is just like, does it help Iran to, I can't figure it out. Can somebody put in the comments what the fuck is happening with this? Good morning, Ellie Patriot. Who's this? Good morning. Yeah, so somebody help me out here if you know what the fuck they're saying. I'm trying to figure it out. Let's keep going. There is a lot of Epstein-related content being pushed out to draw eyeballs. said Brett Schaefer, who directs U.S. research and policy at the nonprofit Institute for Strategic Dialogue. The logic: you come for the Epstein content and you stay for the propaganda. Wait, isn't the Institute for Strategic Dialogue? Hold on. Institute for Strategic Dialogue, isn't that the organization that was targeting? Yeah, this is the organization that was targeting Trump supporters online. Like, yeah, they do this whole thing. Oh my God. Yeah, no, these aren't good. I mean, these aren't good people. So, I mean, maybe they do some good work, but I mean, they're the ones that are trying to target Trump supporters online, trying to call people terrorists and extremists. And for 20 years, ISD has led the way in detecting, exposing, and combating terrorism, extremism, foreign interference, and authoritarianism. Good job, guys. Good job. The Epstein posts are part of a maelstrom of Iran-related misinformation that has engulfed social media since February 28th, when strikes by the United States and Israel killed the country's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, and touched off a conflict that has spread across the Middle East. Mixed in with real footage of the conflict and dramatic videos are missile strikes, downed fighter jets, and earth-shaking explosions that have racked up millions of views on X, TikTok, Instagram, and Telegram, only to be debunked as AI-generated fakes. Oh, it's okay when the news media does it, but it's not okay when just random people on YouTube do it. Or on millions of views on X, TikTok, Instagram, and Telegram, only to be debunked as AI-generated fakes, real footage from past conflicts being passed off as newer scenes from video games. And I mean, that's true. That's semi-true with that too, of course. Like, there's fake content everywhere. Like, the news definitely also. HDX News was part of a network of at least 15 anonymous X accounts churning out content that aligns with the messaging of Iran's Islamist regime and resharing one another's posts, according to ISD researchers who identified the campaign. Another called GPX News posted the same fake Epstein video, a mishmash of imagery, AI-generated scenes with bits of real footage, and received more than 4.7 million views, according to X's publicly viewable metrics. Okay. The White House is aware of attempts by the Iranian regime to influence public opinion in the United States, which is why we have consistently warned the fake news about being used by these bad actors and amplifying their propaganda, White House spokeswoman Anna Kelly said Monday. Both accounts were suspended by X after the post reached out for comment, though others in the network remained active as of Monday. Working on behalf, Schaefer said it's not clear whether the accounts are working on behalf of Iran's government or merely support it. But he added that the pro-regime propaganda they promoted was not subtle. Their posts included triumphant reports of successful Iranian strikes on American and Israeli targets, calls for followers to stand with Iran, and suggest that China and Russia stand ready to back in Iran in a cataclysmic world war. Okay. All 15 accounts ISD found were created in the past 2 years, and 9 of them were verified on X, meaning they pay a subscription fee to Musk's social network in return for features that can include greater visibility, a blue check mark verifying their authenticity, and the chance to generate revenue from their posts. Okay. Both of the accounts that posted the fake Epstein video have also generated some engagement on X with explicitly anti-Semitic and even pro-Nazi posts. Okay, wait. HDX News got more than 1,000 likes on an apparently AI-generated video of a bearded Jewish man holding an Israeli flag, laughing as he dances through a field of graves studded with American flags. Okay. A third account. Okay, so it is not clear Okay. The conflict has sparked a sharp rise in anti-Semitic content, according to researchers from the Anti-Defamation League, a Jewish civil rights organization, some of it seeking to link Epstein, who was Jewish, to the conflict. Pretty quickly after the conflict began, this conspiratorial rebranding of Operation Epic Fury, the U.S. military's official name, into Operation Epstein Fury, started circulating on social media platforms. So so they're like, it's so if you imply that, if you're calling Operation Epic Fury Operation Epstein Fury, and you're implying that the Iran conflict is a cover up for Trump's participation, or even just Epstein in general, because now we're just talking about Epstein in general, it's Iranian propaganda. Okay, it's anti-Semitism and Iranian propaganda. An ADL report found that the phrase Epstein Fury was mentioned more than 90,000 times by some 60,000 different accounts on X within the conflict's first 3 days. It isn't only pro-Tehran accounts that are drawing those connections. Hours after the strikes, Candace Owens, the American right-wing political commentator who has more than 5.9 million subscribers on YouTube, listen, y'all should be doing reports on Richardson, because she has about 3 million followers on Facebook now. She gets a ton of views on her YouTube channel, which we're going to painfully watch. And we will get to it, but she's also making the comparison about Epstein. Okay. So you better check your girl. Okay, Wapo? Check your girl. So Candace Owens reshared a post on X that included an AI-generated image of Trump flanked by Israel flags, and suggested that the United States was blowing up Iranians because it's controlled by Jews. Owens added her own caption, Operation Epstein Fury fully explained. Yeah, and to suggest that the United States is, participating in this on behalf of Israel is something that Marco Rubio suggested out of his own mouth as the Secretary of State. So that's not something that anyone's making up. Siegel, oh God. Okay. Siegel said the problem with online Semitism is not only is that it hurtful, but that is often accompanied by real world harassment, threats, and violent attacks on Jewish people in the United States and around the world. Asked whether she stands by her posts, how she felt about her post being shared by a pro-Iran propaganda account, and her reaction to Siegel's concern that she was feeling anti-Semitism, Owens said via email, "Of course I stand by my post. Israel is a filthy terrorist state that mass murders children and Christians." Other disinformation researchers have also taken note of the campaign to link U.S. and Israeli leaders to Epstein. You see how they're Ted Cruzing it. Posts on X that use the phrase Epstein regime. Oh my God. Wait, guys. Posts on X that used the phrase Epstein regime, a derogatory reference to the U.S.-Israel alliance. Is that what it is? Is that what the term Epstein regime means? It increased 100-fold on the first day of the missile strikes, said Emerson Brooking, director of strategy at the Atlantic Council's Digital Forensic Research Lab. Several of the most popular posts to use the phrase came from Owens. While many liberal-leaning users have left X since Musk bought it. Yeah, we should go to Blue Sky and see what those super rational, very informed people are talking about. While many liberal-leaning users have left X since Musk bought it, Brooking said the network remains highly influential in geopolitics, partly due to its popularity among Republican leaders, right-wing influencers, and the MAGA base, who were always anti-war during the Trump era. So, and aware of elite pedophilia and Epstein. Like, what do you think? You can't have it both ways. You can't be harassing Trump voters for calling them QAnon conspiracy theories, which isn't correct. QAnon is the words that these people use. You can't be calling them that and then now saying that it's Iranian propaganda. No, it was always about awareness of Epstein and the Epstein class. It's the deep state, but it's also this, again, incestuous, corrupt, compromise-ridden ecosystem of politicians and people that make decisions and have money and are highly influential, and what drives people. X is banned in Iran, yet the country's leaders, including Khamenei and former President Mohammed Ahmadinejad, have long maintained accounts to project their messaging to the wider world, he said. Okay, so none of this propaganda is getting to people that live in Iran because they're not allowed on X. Brookings said the impact of any given piece of propaganda or disinformation may be limited, even if it finds a large audience. But in aggregate, they can spur shifts in public opinion over time, especially when they reinforce narratives, such as the idea that Trump attacked Iran to distract from the Epstein files that many people were already inclined to believe. Okay. All right, let's go to Richardson's video now, okay? The Epstein files cover-up with Representative Maxwell Frost. Richardson also has a new cold sore. I can't, guys. Okay, I can't. I'm sorry. It's Lent. Let's get it together, okay? Let's get it together. Okay. Okay. So now that we just had that, we just built that foundation for everything. Let's see if we can answer the question. Is Richardson and the Democrats doing Iranian propaganda? Are Iranians doing Democrat media propaganda? What is going on? Right. Okay.
Today to have with me Representative Maxwell Frost, who is a representative from Florida's 10th district. He has represented the district since 2023, and he is the co-chair of the House Democratic Policy and Communications Committee. But we're going to be talking about something a little bit different today than what is in the news. It's probably what should be in the news, but we'll talk a little bit about the Epstein files today. So Representative Frost, thank you so much for being here this morning.
Of course. Thanks for having me on. It's good to be here.
So I really wanted to talk to you about the Epstein files, in part because they seem to have fallen off the people's radar screen because of everything else that's going on, but also because you and your...
I'm sorry, I'm going to be doing some starting and stopping. And then also, if anybody wants to let me know, do you guys prefer her face to be bigger? You know what I mean? Would you rather see more of her and less of me? Or do you want to see my reactions more? Feel free to let me know. Also, again, I'll be starting and stopping because I just want to jump in there. So forgive me if that's annoying.
Staff did something really unusual when it came to looking at the Epstein files that are available, the ones that are available at the Department of Justice. Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, well, for people who don't know, just to take us a few steps back, right? Donald Trump ran on releasing the Epstein files, right? It was one of the central points of his campaign.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Sorry, I'm doing like Biden. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Come on, look. It wasn't. It wasn't a central part of his campaign. He didn't run on releasing the Epstein files. He was asked in one or two interviews, would he release the Epstein files? The Epstein files wasn't even in the zeitgeist. I mean, Epstein was, and the flight logs, and again, the court cases and the victims and Ghislaine Maxwell and such. But the Epstein files as a term was introduced to the public zeitgeist by Trump and Pam Bondi in early 2024. So when Trump was asked maybe a few times on the campaign, would you release the Epstein files? I think his answer was like, yeah, I think that we would, or whatever it was. But he didn't run on it. You understand? People didn't hire Trump to release the Epstein files. They didn't hire him to release the Epstein files. I just want to make that clear. They hired him to, hold people accountable, but they didn't hire him to release the Epstein files. He didn't make it a central part of his campaign, sir. Just to be fucking clear, okay?
It's how he got a lot of different communities off the internet, especially a lot of young people who've been looking into this, involved in his campaign. And
not fucking true. You're a fucking liar. I'm sorry. This is making me pissed off even more. That's not true. Okay, I'm just going to go. I have this, those things that you wrap around the wires. That's just what I'm holding. Okay. I have to do something with my hands. Okay.
It's something he talked about time and time again. Okay. Then he gets elected. We don't hear anything about the Epstein files anymore. And people start bringing it up. Why are you talking about it? Why haven't you released it?
No, that's not entirely true either.
And then we start hearing different things from different people, right? Kash Patel, under oath, says, we have nothing that shows that Jeffrey Epstein did anything criminal. I mean, that's what he said, right? Then you have Pam Bondi, who invites right-wing influencers to.
I don't think Kash would say, and I'm not defending Kash. I'm just saying, and I don't know this. I know that he testified, but we don't know that Epstein did anything criminal. Well, he was in jail. So we do know that he did something criminal. So I think, sir, that you're actually misrepresenting what Kash said. And you're also lying, because that doesn't make any fucking sense. It just doesn't make any sense. This woman, by the way, what is it? 200,000 views on YouTube. She'll clear 1 million in a week. Funny.
To the White House. And gives them these folders that are say they're the Epstein files, but they really weren't, and it was just
say what they were. Say that they were part of the $7,000 club. Say what they were. The MAGA influencers that got all of that got the white folders. Yeah, you're not being honest with your audience, bro. You're not. Neither are you, Richardson. You want to lie about who these people. Every MAGA already knows who these people were. They got trolled as soon as the photos came out with them in the white binders. This is y'all are behind. Again, trying to catch up your audience, trying to do MAGA face, trying to reinvent the fucking Democrat Party with on nothing.
Something that they did. So then in Congress, we start looking into it even more and say, no, we do need these files released. Number one, you ran on it. But number two, more and more, we're finding out that there's an elite group of billionaires and politicians and elite people in this country and around the world who were a party to these crimes. We talk about a two-tier justice.
Oh, you're just finding out about it, you fucking piece of shit. Oh, you're just finding out about it. Okay. Sorry. Richardson's taking her notes. I gotta take my cold sore cream medication. No, she's taking her notes because she wants to prompt him with something because he's not saying it right for her. She's gonna try and lead him. Okay.
Justice system, we see in this country that depending on how much money you have in your bank account, or what your connections are, you might or might not have to face accountability for your crimes. And obviously human trafficking, pedophilia, sexual abuse, assault, rape, these are all the things that have happened within connecting to the crimes of Jeffrey Epstein.
And the fucking border, bitch, and the border, right? And all the other cases of human trafficking that have been, presented in testimony. We just showed here on the show not too long ago, the hearing back in 2022, about the trafficking that was happening on the border as just one example. So yeah, so he's looking at his notes because he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, because he just has to say his talking points, because he doesn't actually give a fuck about the actual issues that MAGA, whatever that means to you, as far as like Trump's voter base or people that know what Q is or had an internet connection in 2016, started to learn about all of this stuff and understand the big crisis that we face and the actual evil and the deviance and the corruption. So to act like this is an isolated incident to Epstein, to act like the Democrats are doing their due diligence, that we really have to like bring this to light. You know what? The Republicans have the House, the Senate, and the presidency. Okay. Democrats didn't do fucking shit. You want to buy a billboard that says release the Epstein files and you want to act like you're the savior for human trafficking? Go fuck yourself. You guys did fucking shit, except tried to bring Trump down this entire, presidency, in addition to fucking Russia collusion and all the other bullshit over the last number of years, not to mention all the lies about January 6th and on and on and on. So you guys let a fucking open border and what's his face sit there and lie about all the missing children and the whistleblowers and the testimonies of people that were at the border and saw the fucking trafficking. You guys didn't say a peep. You don't care about the fucking trafficking and all the shit that happens in Ukraine when y'all were sitting there waving your Ukraine flags, fucking signing bombs to fucking Ukraine. So I don't want to hear it. Okay. You're a liar, and you can keep looking at your notes. Look at this. Look at these two. Keep looking at your notes. Okay. So Democrats didn't do shit. It was the House and the Senate, the majority of Republicans that pushed through, massing them, that pushed through release the Epstein Transparency Act or whatever, the Epstein Transparency Act that Trump signed. Okay. Yes. Did Bondi, was there a whole media thing and like Bondi had all this retractions? Yeah. What did you think was going to happen? Why don't you look at like Rye Dawson's work? And then you can look at like the work that Whitney Webb did, that she took all of Rye Dawson's work, if you're interested in that. So this is all public knowledge. People know about this. I don't know if fucking Democrats have been under a rock, because they're the ones holding water. You're the ones holding water for the Epstein class. You've been doing this whole time. That's why people voted for Donald Trump.
Fast forward, we get the bill passed to release the files.
We get the bill.
Pam Bondi and Donald Trump are engaged in the greatest cover-up that we've seen.
Engaged in the greatest cover-up that you've seen? Really? This is the greatest cover-up that you've ever seen. After he signed the Epstein Transparency Act, look at them. Look at their faces. Shame. Shame.
In terms of the Epstein files, and they released a good amount of the files, but not all of them. But still, there are millions of files out there. So my team and I, we knew we wanted to go into the Department of Justice to view the unredacted files, because
you're a Florida state representative, sir, or whatever, House of Representatives in Florida. What about the trafficking that's in Florida? What about the crimes that are happening in Florida? I really appreciate like your effort to like get involved now 1,000 fucking years later.
In case your viewers haven't seen them, if you go on the website and you look at these files, there are just entire pages that are just black. And it just shows that they're really not interested in transparency. In fact, a lot of these documents are documents that have to do with Donald Trump that they have completely redacted, or
they have released his name, right? And that's how we know his name was quote unquote in the Epstein files 1,000 times. They're not fucking redacting any shit that has to do with Donald Trump. You piece of shit. Okay.
Many cases, they put them online, people found them, and then they ripped them off. They took them off the internet so people can't see them anymore. So we said, look, there are people around the world really who have been following this closely for years. People who have a deep understanding of what Jeffrey Epstein did and have really good questions informed by their own research and their own work that they've done. So we took to.
Wait, I'm sorry. I was reading a comment. What did he fucking say?
A deep understanding.
Hold on. What did he say? Sorry.
Are people around the world really who have been following this closely for years. People who have a deep understanding of what Jeffrey Epstein did and have really good questions informed by their own research.
Who? People around the world that have a deep understanding of this? Who are those people? And what do their Substack accounts look like? What else are they saying? Is it Ry Dawson? I mean, who are you talking about?
And their own work that they've done. So we took to the internet and we went on Reddit and we asked people, we told people, hey, I'm Congressman Maxwell Frost. I'm going to the Department of Justice tomorrow to look at the unredacted Epstein files.
Wait. Wait, you went to Reddit? You went to the internet? We went to the internet. And I said, I'm U.S. Representative, blah, blah, blah. I come in peace. I'm going to the DOJ tomorrow, Reddit. I'm on the internet. What? You asked anonymous people on Reddit for a sample of reputable Epstein researchers? Okay.
What should I be looking for? What specific file number should I look at?
What?
And it blew up.
Look at Richard.
Millions of hits.
She swallowed. She just swallowed. She couldn't even take it. She's like, yes. Let's look at that one more time. Hold on. Okay, let's look at her swallow. She's like, this is going to shit.
We went on Reddit and we asked people, we told people, hey, I'm Congressman Maxwell Frost. I'm going to the Department of Justice tomorrow to look at the unredacted Epstein files. What should I be looking for? What specific file number should I look at? And it blew up.
There it is.
Millions of hits. Thousands of people writing in, calling into my office, commenting, not just saying, check this file out, just a random file, but saying, check this file out because I think it's connected to this and that and this and that.
Oh, okay. I mean, do you not have the internet, sir? Does your team at your office not have the internet? You went on good. I'm really glad Reddit was available for you. Just people.
And check out this other file as well. And it really helped us put together specific file numbers that we should view, which really helped me going into the Department of Justice. I've been there twice so far. I'll be going again in the coming weeks.
Oh, great. Well, so I want to get into what it's like to look at those files. But first of all, I think that was just brilliant. The whole idea of crowdsourcing the Epstein files. Did you find that people tended to group in different places, that there were certain things that people thought were more important than other things?
100%. There's different groups of people who have been focused on different parts of this. For instance, we had a lot of people that were from Florida that had submitted in things having to do with Florida specific parts of the case. Mar-a-Lago, the jail he went to. A lot of people don't realize is that when Jeffrey Epstein went to jail, he was actually allowed to do what's called work release, right? When he's able to leave jail for a few hours a day to go to work. And he actually, there was an organization set up that he went to go work at. And he was actually going there to sexually abuse and somebody while he was in jail through work release. So we had many people who would send us information having to do.
I mean, I give you a small amount of kudos for getting involved in the case, sir and ma'am.
with that, having to do with local Florida politicians. We also had a lot of people who wanted us to look into the Zorro ranch, which has been a big deal as recently.
Not his intelligence
So
connections.
there's
right?
different folks who I think have really.
Yeah, because we're not looking into his relationship with intelligence agencies or the actual point of the Epstein files too, right? Right. Oh my God. Okay.
Focused in on very different parts of this. And, it makes me think a lot about my own dad, who, after the JFK assassination, joined a group of local people in his community and people across the country that would just look into it, right? Research, try to figure out more information. I mean, there's in my...
Sort of like Q, right? Sort of like Anons, right? In 2016. What year is it? 2026? Oh, okay. Thank you, State Representative. Thank you for your service.
House that I grew up in, there's a bookcase full of JFK books, right? Of what happened on that day. And it's a very similar thing with this. And something my dad always told me is we had groups of people who would become experts on specific things, on specific people. And I think it's very similar with the Epstein files and with the crimes of Jeffrey Epstein. There are people who are experts on very specific things. And it's really helped me to go in Department of Justice and not just look at files, like what files do you think I should look at, but understand what you're seeing. Because when you're in that room and you're just viewing unredacted files, unless you understand what you're seeing, it's hard to navigate.
Totally.
Right? It's
totally.
millions of files.
Yeah, millions of files.
And I think in many ways, they really focused on redacting specific ones that keep you from connecting dots.
Oh, okay. Keeping us from
So I want to
connecting dots.
ask about a couple of things there. I do want to point out that what it reminds me of is less JFK than those people who currently even are chasing down the identities of people who've been found dead that are Jane Does or John Does, and are able by extraordinary amounts of work to bring those families some closure by discovering who those people were. And I always wondered why QAnon didn't do that. Now,
What? Huh?
now instead, we have people actually getting their hands in the files. And
Wait. Wait. Are you saying that y'all are picking up where QAnon left off, or let's just watch that again, shall we? Let's just do it again a little bit, back it up a little bit.
reminds me of is less JFK than those people who currently even are chasing down the identities of people who've been found dead that are Jane Does or John Does, and are able by extraordinary amounts of work to bring those families some closure by discovering who those people were. And I always wondered why QAnon didn't do that. Now instead, we have people actually getting their hands in the files. And I'm, I agree with you. When you hear millions of files, that's the sort of thing that makes history.
Am I hearing this right? Is Richardson vindicating QAnon? I always wondered why QAnon didn't do that.
Historians' hair catch on fire, because you can't just start at number one and start turning pages.
Exactly.
Can you tell us literally what it's like to go look at these files? And then I'd like to talk a little bit about why the Department of Justice has redacted certain things, and why you think that might be the case.
Yes.
Right. And also, too, this was posted yesterday. So instead of talking about the Iranian conflict, which she don't have to talk about it. She don't talk about stuff like that. I mean, she does whatever she wants to do. Talks about the littlest piece. I mean, I'm surprised that they're not talking about the ballroom still, because they really can't talk about anything, because it's all about making her audience feel validated in their despair while rocking them to sleep in her rocking chair.
I'll tell you exactly what it's like. So first off, with 24 hours before you want to go, you make an appointment with the Department of Justice. You pull up to the building, which is in the Noma area, Washington, D.C., maybe like 10, 15 minutes away from Capitol Hill. You go into the front door. Someone's waiting for you, expecting you.
Somebody's waiting for you. Somebody's expecting you. You have to make an appointment. And you pull up. You pull up to the front and you go in the front door. Somebody's there waiting for you. They're going to check you in with their clipboard.
Usually a career Department of Justice person, someone who's been there for a long time.
Okay.
They walk you in, very cordial. You go upstairs, you go to a room where you're handed off to then the political people from the Department of Justice. So people understand. You have people who work in the government who've been there for a long time. And then you have people who are political appointees who are new, who are probably more aligned with the Trump agenda. So then you're kind of handed off to a political appointee. They walk you over to
a political appointee. Like, we don't know. Like, we didn't. Like, we just woke up today. These people are.
A locker where you lock up all your electronics, phone, everything like that.
A locker,
and then you go into this room. Now, a lot of people think it might be some grand thing. It's not. It's actually just like a white room.
Yeah, nobody thinks it's
with
a grand thing.
4 computers, 2 on each side of 2 tables facing each other. That's it. There's a table on the corner where 2 people from the DOJ sit and kind of watch you. And then there's a tech guy who comes in and he signs you in with a very specific sign-in credential, which we'll get to in a minute because they're spying on us. So every person, when you sit down at the computer.
Oh, right, because they're spying on you. Right. That was the whole thing, is that they were upset because Bondi knew what pieces the Congress people were looking at. That was their whole thing, because they were upset about that. They're spying on us. They're spying on us. Oh, you're such a piece of shit. Oh my God.
You have a very specific sign-in credential to their kind of law library, right, of Epstein files, which is an online thing, right? It's on the computer. Library. So you sit down. I'll be honest, I'm pretty quick on my feet with technology, so I was able to understand how to navigate it very quickly. But I sat in there with some other members who it took a lot of time to understand how to use it, because every time you had a question, they would have to go and get the tech guy who's in a different office. And you have to walk through every time and answer a question. You only get 2 hours in the room.
Guys, why is this so fucking Brian Berlinich control? Because this is Richardson. This is all she. This is what they do. They're talking to people of a specific demographic who don't. I don't know. I mean, who don't get technology. Like, I don't understand. I just don't know. I don't know how dumb you guys think your audience is. Like, how much disdain and how much do you just have no respect for your audience, that this is how you talk to them? Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. Look at you. Ridiculous.
So what I started doing is kind of giving people tech lessons before they showed up.
Oh, good.
And giving them the basics of what they need to know so they don't waste time waiting for somebody to come and show them different things. I mean, one of the big ones I'll tell you is when you click on a file, you might assume, right, it's unredacted already. No, actually, you have to click a different button in the toolbox, which is not like, there's not a button that says unredact. It's like kind of a small button that you click, and then you can see the unredacted one. So most people waste the first 15, 20 minutes just looking at redacted stuff. So it's like stuff like that that can help you understand how to navigate this platform that has the files. But I got to tell you, there are so many files that you click unredact, and it's the same thing. And in fact, what I wanted to do is have them side by side, so I could really understand how unredacted are the files. And the tech person came in and told me, you're not able to do that in this system. You're not able to have it side by side, which is crazy. I actually found a way to do it anyway.
It's not crazy. I mean, this is like old school technology. Like, we get it. Like, we know that, like, the government's slow. The government has, you know, and this is the process that they go through. They save the high tech stuff for not us, I guess. But this is not, I'm not surprised by this at all. I'm surprised that you're surprised. I don't know.
By using a specific keystroke. And by doing that, I was able to kind of ascertain that files connected to Donald Trump were still redacted by and large. Files that had nothing to do with victim names and everything to do with exposing clients were completely redacted as well. I'll tell you, a lot of people have reached out to me and said, Maxwell, how come you haven't gone to the floor and read out a...
His name's Maxwell.
client list. I haven't seen a client list. I've seen a list of co-conspirators, which Ro Khanna went to the floor and he read those names out loud. I went to the floor last week and read some of what I read out loud. But a lot of the co-conspirators, we already know, right? It's like public information. A lot of these names are already out there. The thing that people want is that the list of clients of people who were part of this by, you know, paying for it essentially. And I have not seen something like that unredacted yet. The files where I feel like it could be hidden in it, for instance, there's a diary from one of the victims that you could redact anything that would give away the name of the person. But why are entire pages redacted? Entire pages of the diary are redacted. Most of it's redacted. And conceivably, there's some information there that'll help us.
That's true, but that's why.
So it's that's just a little bit about that.
Wait, stop. So are you saying that even the files that the Department of Justice is showing to Congress people claiming that they are unredacted are still redacted? You can't unredact them yourself?
100%. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And it'll be a lot of the ones that you think, let's go see it. For instance, one of the charging documents that came from the came from the attorney, Alex Acosta, in West Palm, which is probably one of the most important things we can see, completely redacted to us, members of Congress. They said you can go in and view everything unredacted. It's a lie. And in fact, I asked the Department of Justice because I had a whole thing pulled up that had to do with Donald Trump. And I said, why is this redacted? And they said, we received it that way. I said, what do you mean you received it that way? They said, well, we at the Department of Justice received it from the FBI.
Yeah.
And so conceivably, they gave it to us redacted. We just unredacted the things that we had redacted to the public.
Yeah.
Which means Kash Patel's FBI, of course, has redacted things having to do with Donald Trump and having to do with clients, conceivably his friends.
Okay.
Which is exactly what he told Marjorie Taylor Greene on the phone. Stop this because my friends will be in trouble.
Okay. You see how this is narrative driven. So are you saying that nobody on Reddit told you about Ry Dawson's work? Or how to access flight logs? Right. So you're making this argument that, like, things are redacted because they're trying to protect Trump, even though Trump was the one that even brought it up. Who brought up the Epstein files? Who brought it up? Why is it still in the news? Why is it being talked about so much now, and it wasn't talked about so much back in 2016 when y'all shamed and sanctioned and defamed and called QAnon, Anons, Trump supporters, domestic terrorists and extremists? Why wasn't there emphasis back then about Trump? Why didn't the Biden administration do anything with it, and why is it now? I mean, so you're trying to say that they're covering up the Epstein files. They're redacting the relationship that Trump and all his friends. What about that? What's his face? The one that interviewed Epstein. I don't know. I just think that as much as you guys are trying to like bring light to this, which if it were just that is admirable. Bring light to this. Why are you doing this treasure hunt sort of confusion with information thing? Why are you doing this dance? Because you want to make it look like a politician in Florida is working to expose them trying to cover up Trump's relationship with Epstein. They're not going to do an investigation on a sitting president. Y'all are going to try and win the midterms and then impeach him, not on Epstein, but you're not going to get the information that you think that you're out there searching for, unless you're doing Iranian propaganda.
So, I confess I'm a little bit gobsmacked here, because when you just said this is the biggest cover up in U.S. history, or maybe I'm misquoting you on that, I would agree with that. The fact that the Department of Justice is keeping from Congress the files.
Keeping it from Congress. They're keeping it from Congress. Just like, I don't know, the Russia collusion documents, the Steele dossier, the Durham report, the January 6th, all that evidence that was destroyed.
That implicate a number of important people, including perhaps, and I would actually go beyond perhaps, the President of the United States, is earth-shattering.
Is it?
For our democratic system.
Is it?
It is. And I did say, I do believe this cover-up is the biggest one that we've seen from a president in our country's history, because it doesn't have to just do with the cover-up itself or the political pressure he put on members of his own party, but also has to do with the fact that they invited us in to view these unredacted files, which, by the way, we compelled them to do through law.
He's so offended. He's so offended. Not that Russia collusion wasn't the greatest cover-up. The January 6th cover-up. I mean, this is just wild, dude. That this is what they're doing. This is like what they're gonna do. They're trying to turn this whole thing around like this is like we're just sweeping it like nothing else existed. Like this is the only thing today that we're gonna do, and that this is the greatest cover-up in the history of presidents because of what he did. This is ridiculous.
Damn near unanimously, they broke the law by waiting an additional month to release it. Then they also broke the law by redacting the names of billionaires and politicians when we told them we only want victim names redacted. But it's not even just all that, Heather, but it's also the fact that they spied on us
Oh my God, guys, they spied on us. Guys, I can't. This is the stupidest shit I've watched. I can't, guys. They broke the law and they spied on us. They broke the law and they spied on us. Are you on a no-fly list, bro? Are you on a no-fly list?
As we were viewing the documents, not just to see what we were looking at and say, look at that, but to then use that on the political side to harm us politically for looking into it. And what I mean is,
you guys have done absolutely jack shit. You guys have done nothing. You've risked nothing. This is a nothing burger. Nothing is fucking happening. This is, I don't have words. I'm sorry. I just don't have words.
for people who don't know, Pam Bondi was testifying to the House Judiciary Committee where she was pummeled for the cover-up of the Epstein files. And many of you saw the photo that she had this binder, like she had one binder per Democratic member. And it was like I call it it was like a burn book, right? It was a bunch of material for her to use to embarrass the member.
She didn't, first of all, I don't give a fuck about Pam Bondi. Okay. Yeah. I mean, everybody is criticizing Pam Bondi. Everybody. A lot of MAGA, a lot of Republicans, a lot of Trump supporters have criticized Pam Bondi. So I don't know. You're not doing any good work, sir, by criticizing Pam Bondi and acting like this is the biggest fucking scandal, that like, oh, you were being watched when you went into a government building to look at redacted confidential files, and that they were going to then be used against you. They were going to be used against you for political purposes. Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody even knows. It is irrelevant. Nobody cares that nobody thinks that you were spied on. Okay. Do you want to talk about Americans actually being spied on or not? Do you want to act like you're manufacturing this whole sob story about how you were spied on? You weren't fucking spied on. You went into a public building. Everybody knows. I just don't. So stupid. Everybody in the comments, Richardson's comment section is like, yeah, this is so great. I'm so happy I get this information.
To speak back to the member in her defiant, tone. And we all saw that
Her
thing.
defiant tone. Okay.
A photographer caught a photo of one of the pages, and the page was a complete search history of Representative Pramila Jayapal's visit to the DOJ to view the unredacted files. A complete violation of the checks and balances and separation of branches. And
no, it's not at all a complete violation of the separation. I mean, yeah, I mean, she didn't have to publicize it, but she obviously did, she didn't have to publicize it. The fact that we're even talking about this now, I mean, no one's talking about this. You're talking about this. We're only talking about it because you're talking about it. Richardson, they're trying to make us believe that Richardson has millions of followers. No, nobody cares. Okay. Nobody cares about you whiny fucking Democrats who you got spied on when you went into the DOJ to go look at the files. That's all fucking public information anyway.
And I just think that this cover-up is an impeachable offense for Pam Bondi, 110%. But that is the reason I say it's the biggest cover-up we've seen, because it's not just a cover-up. It's a cover-up, a spying operation on members of Congress.
It's a spying. Oh my God, guys. He said it's not just a cover-up, it's a spying operation. Dude, they were literally trying to do Russia collusion.
And then a political operation that uses the information they got from the official government to harm them politically, which also is against the law, by the way.
Russia collusion, anyone? Okay, we'll just listen to what he just said one more time and then we'll keep going.
Branches. And I just think that This cover-up is an impeachable offense for Pam Bondi, 110%. But that is the reason I say it's the biggest cover-up we've seen, because it's not just a cover-up. It's a cover-up, a spying operation on members of Congress, and then a political operation that uses the information they got from the official government to harm them politically, which also is against the law, by the way.
So I want to get into that in a second, but one of the things that really interests me about the operation surrounding Epstein is the money. When you listed off the different ways in which there appear to have been crimes in those files, what I didn't hear you say was money laundering or some of the other ways in which a number of people could be involved with the exchange of money. We know that Senator Ron Wyden is trying desperately to get files out of the Treasury about the movement of money through the banks surrounding Epstein, money going out as well as money going in, because that speaks to this web you're talking about. Have you seen anything like that in the files, or is that something you're interested in?
It is something I'm interested in. I'll tell you, Richardson. The 2 hours go by very fast, and it's sometimes you go in on a specific subject or two. I find going in on one or two things is better than a ton. But one of the next visits I'm going to do, I'm going to focus on the bank. So everyone knows the House Oversight Committee, this is something we've been looking into. When we first met with the lawyers of a lot of the survivors, they told us they said something very direct. They said, go for the estate, subpoena the estate. They said also subpoena the banks, because what you won't be able to find in the Epstein files that the Department of Justice has, you might be able to follow the money. And this is really important. So we did send out 2 subpoenas at JP Morgan and Deutsche Bank, which are 2 of the primary banking institutions that were used by Jeffrey Epstein and his co-conspirators. But there's more that we need. Venmo transactions, Zelle transactions. I mean, we could go down the list of ways that we think money was both laundered and hidden to pay for services. There's also
all known.
It's just so deep, right? There's also the question of people unknowingly moving money for this operation. And truth be told, there's a lot of folks that are considered co-conspirators that actually didn't know what was going on, but they were used by Epstein and the real co-conspirators and people that were making things. We could talk about like whether it's maid or a driver or this and that were in this. A lot of folks don't understand how big this operation was. It wasn't just the island. The island's a big part of it, but it's his home. It's Mar-a-Lago. It's all these different things that tie it together, which is part of the reason that we have to get to the bottom of this. It's not just about it's justice for the survivors, but it's about making sure it never happens again. And the fact of the matter is there's many entities that were involved in this.
But that speaks to where you started today, and that's that it is certainly about the survivors, but it's also about the idea of a predatory class that's not accountable to the law, and that seems to be what you're uncovering, right?
100%. I mean, that is the basis of this entire thing. Because if we go back to when there was the first indictment, or when Jeffrey Epstein was first arrested for these very crimes, he was given a sweetheart deal by Alex Acosta, who, by the way, is full of crap. We deposed them for hours and hours and hours. Apparently, he didn't know anything that was going on in his office. And he's also very defiant. He hates the word sweetheart deal. He thinks he got the best he could get. He also stated to us that he didn't bring the survivors on the witness stand because he didn't feel like they were going to be very credible, is what he said. That is when all of this should have ended. The guy should have been held accountable. Everything should have been uncovered. But the fact of the matter is, the dude served a year in jail, left, and continued to offend. And that's when things blew up even more. And the fact of the matter is, if Jeffrey Epstein wasn't a billionaire that was backed by elites, not just in this nation, but across the entire world, he would have faced justice in that moment. I promise you that. And I think because he had those connections, he was able
it has to do with him having too many
continue to do this. And that's this 2-tier justice system of rich billionaire elites doing whatever the hell they want and breaking all the laws in the world. I mean, and it's the same case on everything. You want to talk about theft? The biggest theft is the theft of wage theft and white collar crimes, and these billionaires who are getting away with all of this. And so, of course, they're going to get away with, whether it's stealing money or stealing people and selling people, they're getting away with it. And that's part of the reason why this is so important in uncovering this, is it's about integrity in our justice system from A to Z. And if we don't uncover this and we don't get to the bottom of it, it will happen again. It could be happening right now. And I think it's important.
Right. Richardson's on the case, though.
Well, and I think that you put your finger on it there, that it's not, it is about accountability, but in a way it's an indictment of the development of the American justice system and the American economic system, really for the last 30 years anyway, that has permitted the development of this sort of elite predatory group that could literally buy and sell people, which is sort of the ultimate, right?
Yeah. And what happens too, Heather, is that it's also connected, because as they consolidate power in our economy, and as they continue to own everything from the things that we watch, the news that we consume, the buildings that we live in, the cars that we drive, when fewer and fewer people have the keys to society, it is more likely that even when they commit the most heinous of crimes, that they are bailed out and protected because they own the keys to society. And that's part of the reason why fighting the massive wealth inequality we have in this country is so important, because that in and of itself does corrupt our justice system. And it puts in considerations to politicians and people like that that should not exist. I mean, how much money you have in the bank, the companies you own, all of that should not be a consideration when we're talking about you facing justice. But when you have Alex Acosta, the U.S. attorney who gave him the sweetheart deal, who then years later becomes the Secretary of Labor for Donald Trump, you really realize that it's one big club and none of us are part of it. And I think it's really important for us to uncover what this is all about.
Okay, good job, sir.
Well, so that does raise the question now. It seems very clear from looking in from the outside that the Department of Justice under Attorney General Pam Bondi is openly breaking the law. I believe this morning they said they're done. There will be no more Epstein files coming out. And we're seeing stuff that is listen to me stammer. I just don't even know how to describe it. What comes next? I mean, Bondi is due to testify before Congress under oath, is sort of openly saying we're done. We're not going to follow any more of the Epstein Transparency Act. What does it look like might happen to try and bring some of this to some sort of accountability?
Well, I believe Pam Bondi needs to be impeached. I think she has done multiple impeachable offenses,
a lot of
paramount of which is the cover-up of this Epstein investigation and her complete defiance of Congress. I think that is an impeachable offense. Now, where do we go from here? Well, first off, we've been trying to subpoena Pam Bondi on the Oversight Committee for damn near a year. We have not been able to do it. However, just a few days ago, as you just said, we were finally able to get a couple of Republicans on. Because believe it or not, I think it's important for people to understand this, that part of the ways, and you're historian, throughout history, authoritarians usually are not gifted legislators. Usually what they do doesn't have a ton of staying power, right? It's usually a legacy or something that you can work at undoing it and building back our democracy afterwards. But the way that they rule has to do with people obeying in advance and an opposition that believes there's nothing they can do. I mean, when the opposition says there's nothing we can do, you've given the authoritarian the real power that they want.
At least you have opposition. At least the Republicans have opposition within their party. Like, MAGA's not on the same page about all of this. Some Republicans are defending Pam Bondi. Other Republicans are saying, like, fuck Pam Bondi. Openly. Where is that happening on the Democrat side? Where, during the Biden administration, did we see any pushback within the Democrat Party of holding the corrupt DOJ and FBI accountable? They were all on the same side about it. They all doubled down. So, and look at Liz Cheney and Adam Kissinger and Mitt Romney. Look at these people that are not in Congress, that aren't in office anymore, that were part of that. So we did not see this with the Biden administration. And for the Democrats now to all of a sudden start to care about a two-tiered system and like holding people accountable and, you know, impeaching the attorney general because of this issue, like, this has got to be, I mean, this is a joke. But they're very, this is, nobody gave a shit about any of this stuff during the Biden administration when we actually did see, again, all of the doubling down of the election, of targeting of American citizens for political purposes. What about Hunter Biden? What about the Hunter Biden laptop? What about the fucking gun charge? And what about Biden? What about him pardoning everybody? Like, what is going on?
I think about DEI. People would think there's probably a bunch of DEI laws Congress passed because all these companies are getting rid of it. Well, no, we passed 0 laws having to do with that.
We know that.
There's 0 law having to do with that. It is people obeying in advance and giving power to the authoritarian before.
They're not giving power to the authoritarian. They actually don't agree with it. And there's been a ton of evidence to support that these policies don't work and in fact do more damage to institutions and to marginalized communities and to people of color and to society. It was the other way around. They had to do these things because of the authoritarianism. I mean, seriously, what is actually wrong with you?
Or you've told them, no, you're gonna have to, do something about it. So the reason I bring this up is I know people feel hopeless in this moment, but do not buy into a politics of despair and feel like there's nothing you can do, because when we do that, we've lost half the battle already. And so, yes, we know we don't have the votes to subpoena. We knew we didn't have the votes to subpoena Kristi Noem, but Donald Trump, because of the way that,
and he got rid of Kristi Noem. Say that. What is your name again? Maxwell? Say that. Say Trump got rid of Kristi Noem.
Country's falling apart. The economy's falling apart. Wealth inequality is blowing up. Politicians are starting in the Republican Party to little by little defy Trump at different parts. Now, is it because they woke up one morning and they felt like, let me be a good person? No, it's because they're getting the polling numbers in their districts. They're getting the polling numbers and they're feeling like they might lose their job. So we were able to get 4 Republicans to vote with us to subpoena Pam Bondi. And that's really important because having her in front of us
it's not just because of them. It's because, and y'all act like Trump didn't see this coming. That's fine. But, or that Pam Bondi, or that nobody saw this coming. But people, MAGA does not support Pam Bondi. You understand? Trump voters do not support Pam Bondi. Do you understand? So, but it started to go downhill very quickly. This isn't something that is virtuous for. And I don't think that you're saying that. I don't think you're saying that it's virtual because they're saying poll numbers. Like, yeah, I mean, there's just a lot going on within the divisions of MAGA, within the Trump administration, with what Trump is doing, and especially, and it's all related to Iran as well. And this sort of, again, just with the Israel relationship and all of that stuff. So that's all the stuff that you guys aren't talking about, right? So that's, you're not telling the full story. And that's, I mean, politicians rarely do. Richardson rarely does. We get what we pay for around here.
Testifying under oath, working on and covering on a national scale, this cover-up is going to help us moving to eventually impeaching her, which I think is something that will, knock on wood, hopefully if we're able to get in the majority, is something we need to move forward.
So now not only did Trump get Democrats to release the Epstein files, but he's also getting to impeach Pam Bondi. Okay.
Once we're in the majority, I think we could move it forward now as well. But I think in this hearing, looking at the way that the Republicans question her might help give us some insight as to whether or not we can move through impeachment and it be successful. Look at what happened with Christie Noem. She lost damn near, a ton of Republicans in the Senate and in the House as well. And Trump, I think part of the reason Trump fired her is because he knew that impeachment was inevitable there. And so it just shows.
So no credit to Trump there. You know what I mean? He got rid of her, and he could have he could have drew it out for impeachment. Why not? But he didn't. He just got rid of her. Maybe that was his plan all along.
Is that we have to continue putting the pressure on. There's some Democrats who think that in this moment we need to lay low, be very risk adverse, and let them mess up and people will run to our arms. I don't think that's true. I think in normal times, maybe that's true. We're not in normal times.
Well, so what you're saying to people, it sounds like, is to keep the pressure on all of these issues, including the Epstein files.
110%. And people continue, definitely, know that all these issues are so deeply connected to a small group of billionaires and mega corporations protecting themselves from the law and trying to make as much money and consolidate power. That is what the whole damn thing is about, from the Epstein files to the big beautiful bill to everything.
Well, I hope that you will come back at some point and talk to me about that, because that, of course, is the project near and dear to my heart, is the concentration of wealth and how one addresses that. Okay. But I want to thank you so much for being here. I feel like I've got so much better an idea of what's happening in that DOJ room and what the files look like and why it matters. So thank you so much for coming, and good luck up there on the Hill these days. It must be absolutely wild.
It's completely wild, and but I'm really proud to be able to go to Congress and say I represent Orlando, Florida, and be a loud progressive voice from the South. So thanks for having me on. Thanks for all your work. Thanks, everybody.
They're lucky to have you. Thank you, everyone, for being here, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Very good. All right, we made it. We made it through. That was a long one. So very good. It got dark around here. We have some thunderstorms, some lightning. It's going to be a little bit of a stormy time here. So, okay. Well, I think we did what we came to do. Hope it wasn't too painful, and we will stay tracking. We will stay on top of it. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I will catch you next time.